our next presentation. So if this is a case study of the Algoma Family Services, and it's an interesting case because when we created the Stress Assess web app with the CCYHS, the idea was that workplaces could set up the survey and administer it themselves. And this group did that, and I was quite impressed with their abilities. And so Sheila Ewing and Lisa Salvini will be discussing this, and this is a pre-recorded session, but they're available afterwards to answer any questions or discuss. And Sheila has been with Algoma Family Services in various frontline positions, providing counseling to children, youth, and families since 2006. She's the OPSU Local 1684 Treasurer. She's involved in many initiatives and committees that support the well-being of the staff in the agency. She's an active member and the current treasurer of OPSU 684. She lives in Sault Ste. Marie with her husband and 6-month-old puppy named Maisie. Lisa Salvini is HR Director, and she has been with Algoma Family Services as the Director of Human Resources since May 2017. She has 25 years of human resources experience in a variety of industries, including manufacturing, retail, banking, and hospitality. Lisa also lives in Sault Ste. Marie, and she's there with her husband, 12-year-old daughter, and their Wetsie Getty.
Hi, I'm Sheila, and this is Lisa, and we're from Algoma Family Services, and we're going to talk to you about assessing stress at AFS. Algoma Family Services is a multidisciplinary organization that serves children, youth, and families across the Algoma district. We have over 20 programs, and at last count, we employed about 148 employees. Most of our employees are registered social workers or psychotherapists. Being a social service agency, our employees deal with trauma on a daily basis. Psychological health and safety is important to everyone's well-being. Back in January 2018, our union president learned about the Stress Assess survey and subsequently explored with the local executive committee of the union the feasibility of completing this survey. A decision was made to bring it forward to the CEO and the management team for consideration. Both the union and management were intrigued by the possibility of bringing the survey to the staff for completion. Both parties knew the importance of psychological safety and well-being in the workplace. Both parties were aware that the nature of the work done at AFS had the potential to impact the emotional and physical well-being of all employees. And both parties were aware that some employees were struggling. It was not until we became aware of the Stress Assess survey that we had a concrete and standardized method to explore the psychological well-being of all employees at the agency. We believe that it was imperative to take a collaborative approach to ensure that all voices were heard. We wanted to ensure we were all working together to make AFS the best place to work for both frontline staff and management alike. A small working group comprised of frontline staff from a variety of programs and the Director of Human Resources set to work to bring the survey to the staff. The early tasks of this working group included deciding what questions would be asked and deciding when to introduce the survey to the staff. One of the most important tasks was figuring out how to market this survey to the staff to ensure that the response rate was high enough to produce valid results. And Lisa's going to tell us about that first survey.
In May 2018, we sent our survey out to all of our employees. With the goal of a 95% response rate, we offered the chance to win gift cards at different response milestones. We offered a grand prize if we reached 95%. Our overall response rate was 83.2% for the first survey. The team reviewed the results and asked many questions to ensure that we understood them. John was a great help in explaining the results to us, so we accurately communicated them to our staff. The team decided to create action plans for the top 3 psychosocial concerns. These concerns included thermal comfort, emotional demands, and quantitative demands. The team brainstormed different ways to address these concerns and created several initiatives. The agency purchased thermal blinds for the offices to help regulate the temperature. This helped a bit with cold and hot offices. To address emotional demands, we hosted a session on vicarious trauma for our employees. In this training, we learned about a peer support model. As a result, we created the Algoma response team. Using a peer support model, this team is available for all employees to access if they ever need support. This is not a counseling service, but we'll have resources available if our employees need it. We realize that workload can be an issue. During collective bargaining, we introduced workload issues language in our collective agreement that spells out the process for employees to talk to their supervisors about workload concerns. This process ensures that employees have a mechanism to discuss their workloads. We also explored ways to streamline our documentation requirements to make it less cumbersome. The introduction of our new client management software has helped with this as well.
A presentation was made to the all-staff meeting in June 2018, which was shortly after the first survey was administered. At this time, we wanted to share with the staff the survey of the results, including the top 3 concerns and how they would be addressed. Slow and steady progress was made towards the completion of the action plans, and this progress was communicated on a monthly basis via email to all employees to keep them updated. It was really important that everyone was aware of the progress and changes that had come as a result of their participation in the Stress Assess survey. It was always our intention and hope to administer the survey more than once and with some regularity. Thus, it was crucial that action plans were followed through upon. Changes and improvements to practices, environmental influences, and policies had to be concrete and meaningful if we were going to get buy-in from the staff to complete the survey a second, third, or even 4th time. In June 2019, we sent out a second Stress Assess survey, and once again, we offered some gift cards when we met response milestones. If we had an 85% completion rate, we also offered a grand prize. Our completion rate for the second survey was 79.2, which for anyone who's done this survey already knows that that is slightly below the kind of benchmark that has been identified as being necessary to ensure valid results. So we do take the results of this second survey with a grain of salt. In reflection and kind of hindsight, we think that the lower response rate was due to the time that we offered this survey, which was the 3rd week of June to the middle of July, which is, you know, obviously you're thinking, why would they do that? That's what we thought afterwards too. But that was that's when we did it, and so there were some there were lots of people on vacation and things like that, so that resulted in lower numbers. Our results, though, did show some improvements and some stability in various areas despite the low response rate. The working group continued to meet and build upon the successes from the first survey. Like Lisa was just talking about, the HVAC system, there was some, we continued to work to try to get that, system in place. The development of our peer support group continued. All staff in the agency received training in vicarious trauma, secondary stress, and burnout. And the staff were invited to join the working group to bring this initiative to life in the agency. Supervisors also worked together to create guidelines for supervision to ensure consistency across teams. This also helped with consistent communication and messaging between the various teams and programs. As you can imagine, with 20 different programs, it's difficult to get consistent messaging out there. So that process really helped. The COPSOC team working group also continued to send out messages at regular intervals to keep everyone up to date. And now Lisa's going to tell us about our third and most recent survey that we completed during pandemic.
Thanks, Sheila. In November 2020, we sent out our third COPSOC survey. We once again offered the chance to win gift cards. Our goal was 95% and our response rate was 95.5%. I believe that the high response rate really had something to do with the fact that we've been actioning the results of the past surveys. So employees have now have trust that we are actually going to do something with the information that's given. So that's definitely a win for us. After a review of the results, there has been some improvement year over year. We have not finalized the plan from the third survey yet. No surprise that this hasn't been a regular year for us. Peer support has not been readily available with working from home, and we wonder about the pandemic's effect on the survey. So we're still meeting as a team to look at the results. Our COPSOC team has also changed this year. Before it was a small member team that just looked at the survey results. Now we are a part of the wellness team, so we do have a lot more players at the table, which means that we might have some new ideas as well to bring forward any improvements. So we're really excited to work with the team on that and to continuing on looking at ways that we can improve the psychological wellness and safety of our employees.
So now that we've completed 3 different surveys, we've noticed some results. And for anybody who, any agencies or businesses that are interested in doing this, I certainly recommend you get in contact with John. I hope that he's not going to be upset for me mentioning his name, but he was instrumental in helping us look at the changes from survey to survey, and he was able to identify areas in which there was significant improvement. And so some of the areas in which significant improvement have been noted over the 3 years are vertical trust and respect. Work values have improved as well. Bullying, discrimination, and vicarious offensive behaviors have significantly decreased. And, we sort of feel that that's as a result of lots of working from home. There are certainly less opportunities for face-to-face communications between ourselves and other employees and with clients as well. So there's just that has impacted those numbers, we believe. But we really can't be sure of that until perhaps we do our 4th survey and look at the differences between this pandemic year and the 4th survey that we hope to do in not a pandemic year. We're just really looking forward to the 4th survey and obviously looking at developing action plans for this 3rd survey. But I think, overall the staff feel that, have to agree with Lisa that the staff feel supported and that they know that, completing the stress assess survey was a good use of their time and that concrete results and improvements have come from their participation. So thanks for your attention, and we'll be here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. If people have any questions for them, either speak up or write something in the chat. I had a question for either of you. First of all, how did you originally find out about Stress Assess? Did you stumble across it online, or did you hear about it from someone?
Our union president, Tara Maskahevich, brought it to the local executive of the union. So she must have heard it at a conference, and I think she knows Terry. So Terry might have been the genesis for all this. So that's how we initially heard about it.
Okay.
Oh, now I'm making the connection now. Yes, it was. I was interacting with Tara, and that is your workplace. So great job, guys.
Yeah, and then Tara brought it to our CEO and our senior leadership team, and we were very excited to learn more as well. And it was a great partnership.
Yes, Dorothy Wigmore has a question.
So this is really interesting. Many years ago, I worked for the provincial government representative, the MPP for the area, when Algoma Social Services was quite different from what it is now. But one of the things I'm curious about is you're operating in what's largely a rural area, I mean, with small communities, whether it's Thessalon, Bruce Mines, whatever. So it seems to me that there are different issues and different kinds of stressors in that kind of a setting than there may be in more urban settings. And I was curious about what you found and how you might have dealt with it.
Although, yes, there might be some, for example, travel or that whole part being in an urban setting. Really, what I would think is that the work itself is really comparable across Ontario. So having social workers and like most of our employees are social workers, having that type of work, especially dealing with child trauma, that sort of thing, I think it would be pretty representative all across Ontario, regardless if it was urban or, being in a smaller city like Sault Ste. Marie. When we looked at our lower scores, they really were more about the work demands and like thermal comfort and the like vicarious trauma. That's what we really found. I'm not sure that being in a different setting would give a different mark on that, but I'm not sure if Sheila has anything to add.
No, I would agree with you, Lisa, and kind of looking back, I think that's, one of the things that was fairly stable across the three surveys that we've completed, that those things really haven't shown up as being primary concerns for staff. So they seem to be able to manage, or deal with those sorts of stressors a little bit better, and they're not a contributing factor to the overall kind of burnout and that sort of thing.
Okay, thanks. I was just curious.
Thank you.
Yes, I see.
Thank you for your question.
I see Carol has her hand up. Carol?
Thank you very much, John. Now, I just wanted to say thank you very much for sharing this, because it's quite powerful in the way, from the first survey to the very last one and the journey in between. It does make that difference seem that entire thing come together. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. I had a quick question for Lisa. You mentioned quiet management software. What is that, and how is that different from other programs?
So our client management software is
Client.
Client, yes. So that's our database where we keep all of our client notes from sessions. And we had something called Sims before, and we changed over to EMHware. So EMHware just had some of the processes are a little bit more streamlined and easier to use software. Not at first, though. I mean, any change is hard, but now that the training is complete and people are used to the new software, it has reduced some of the like putting in notes and some of the time that it took to do that. So that helped a little bit with quantitative demands.
Yes. Sheila, did you experience the difference?
I you know what, I mean, I'm not I don't mind change, but and I'm always the person who's a glass half full kind of person, and but I love EMH wear. I absolutely love it. It saves so much time, and a report that would take me kind of half an hour, 40 minutes to do before, I can pretty much do in less than 10. And it's been a lifesaver in terms of documentation and kind of juggling multiple things. So it's been a game changer for sure for us.
Yes, we've seen that in a lot of social services people who filled out the survey, that the time spent doing paperwork is can be a frustrating thing if it's not streamlined. So I'm glad to hear that you were able to address that issue, and quite a difference. Thanks. Okay, are there any other questions?
We do have a couple, John, in the chat box there.
Okay.
One of them we might ask you, because I know you've got the experience here, from Angela Perkins. Do you ever look at guarding minds at work, and how does it compare to stress assess?
Yes, I have run both surveys in the same workplace at different times. The quick synopsis, Guarding Minds at Work was put together by with funding from an insurance company that was concerned about the cost of sickness and accident costs due to stress leaves. And therefore, it's kind of pitched towards employers. So the language is different, and it's more focused on supporting the individual rather than necessarily organizational issues. Whereas Stress Assess is based on the Copenhagen Psychosocial Questionnaire, which is a questionnaire that's been developed in Denmark and used throughout the world. So it's a standardized survey that tries to cover all the different stress theories. So yes, there is a difference. And Terry teaches a course on workplace stress for Laurentian University, and in one of her classes, we tried both surveys, and then we asked the students to brainstorm solutions, and we did notice quite a difference that when you're looking at the Guarding Minds at Work report, the type of suggestions you make are usually more relationship oriented, whereas with when the students were looking at the stress assessment report, the suggestions they came up with were more organizational adjustments. So there is quite a difference between the two. There are two other ones available in the English language. One is from Australia. It's called People at Work, and the other one is from Ireland, and it's based on the United Kingdom survey, and it's called, I think it's called Positive Work or Work Positive. I always get the two mixed up, but there are other ones available.
All right, great. Thank you, John. We do have a couple of more in here. Maybe we'll get to one more, and then I'll turn it over to Terry to speak about our KMH group. So the next question we have is from Helly Little. She would like to know who reviews and analyzes the data, who makes the recommendations, the internal workplace parties, or is there an expert who supports this? And does this differ in different workplaces? So maybe Sheila or Lisa, can you tell us how it worked in your workplace? I know you spoke about it throughout, but tell us a little bit how it worked in your workplace, and then maybe John and Terry, if you want to add on how it's worked in other workplaces.
I can go if you want. So we really leaned on John to help us understand the survey and to understand the results. So we did meet with him a number of times as a team. And I know that Sheila, was sending emails and stuff as well to John just for clarification for anything, so that we had a good understanding. And then when it came to the actual workplace plans, it was our team who tried to brainstorm different ways that we could make effective change against our lowest scores. We decided to, look at the 3 things and do it well, rather than try to be everything to everybody, because we wanted to make fundamental change. And another thing that I think we did well was communicating. We did a lot of communication. So there were emails. We talked at an all staff day. We, gave updates on what we were doing and how we were doing it. So it really, I think, helped increase the trust of the survey, so that, people were a little bit more interested in participating. And it also helped with just trust across the organization that we were, willing to listen and willing to work together collaboratively to make changes. Sheila, you have anything to add?
No, I think that's a good roundup of what we did.
I think, Lisa, a really good point that you made there in the communication and working collaboratively in the organization to move forward. So that's great. Thank you very much, guys. John and Terry?
Tricia, yeah, just before, I just want to say that one of the things about the stressassess.ca, and you can go on and create and do this yourself, all of the wizard walks you through the steps. So for Hele, the stress assess will generate a report. It's not as nicest looking as the one that, similar to the one John provides, but basically the process, we've developed over the pilots that we've done over the years, kind of a process where the workplace itself needs to brainstorm the solutions, because no expert can tell us what we do in our organization because they don't know us. So the beauty of this process is that the workplace parties have all the capabilities to do this themselves from start to finish. And there even is a data analysis within the web wizard. The thing is taking action on the top issues that arise, the burning things in the workplace. And so, we followed a few steps about that our Mini-Mit walks people through. There's some templates in there, links to some templates that we use. We have a timeline to help you plan the project. We create a one-pager from the report to try to, because not everyone likes looking at all the graphs in the long report. So the first job of the steering committee after the survey is to create a one-pager, and that is what are the results and what came up in the survey, and then that's for general distribution to prepare people for the brainstorming session that they'll have, where they collect everyone's ideas on where to go from here. And we always recommend opening a 2-week period where people can send in private confidential ideas to a trusted person who will keep their suggestion anonymous, just because not everyone feels comfortable speaking up in a meeting. And then after that, we develop a tabling document, and in the templates that we link you to in the Mini-Mit, we're giving you fillable PDFs that you could sample documents. And so this is a process that you could do yourself in the workplace from start to finish without hiring any high-priced experts. John, did you have anything to add?
Oh, that sounds great. I noticed there's a couple other people who had their hands up, but I don't know if we have time for them now or save them for later. Vicky and Leonore.
In the interest of time, if we can hold the rest of the questions maybe till the end, if we've got some extra time at the end. If you do have questions though, and you want to type them in, we can always, if we don't get to them at the end, we can always take those questions back to the presenters and ask if they can answer them after the session, and we can send those along. So thank you. All right. Thanks very much, ladies. Fantastic work. And I'm so glad to hear that it's progressing and working so well in your workplace. So, all right. Thank you.